Hi friends, in this video we are going to learn how to sketch a graph with two variables. So here as you can see, we are going to sketch a graph that is equals to x plus y. Let's say for an z we can directly tell like this is a function of x and y variables. So I'm going to draw a graph for z which is equals to x plus y. Normally, in our previous education, we have learned how to draw a graph for one variable. Let's say you have already learned to draw the graph. Let's say this is y is equals to mx plus c. So m and c are constants, so you can always draw a graph. It's going to be a straight line graph with a gradient. Likewise, you have already drawn y is equals to mx squared like this, which is going to be a parabola. Likewise, you can sketch a graph for only one variable. However, in this case, we are going to take a situation where we are having multiple variables and function of that. It's going to be function of x and y. So in this case, we are going to draw which it's having only two variables. So in this case, as you can see, there's a variable called x and y, as well as another function which is going to relate that xy, which is equal to x plus y. So as you can see, there are three variables. So how we are going to draw is, actually we need to choose three axes to draw this, to demonstrate this graph. Let's say if you are having four variables like x plus y plus z and function of xyz. So in that case, we need to have four axes to draw. However, it's not practically possible, so that now we are going to learn how to draw this graph with two variables and the function of that. So in this case, let's draw like this. I'm trying to draw in 3D. So let's mark it like this. This is x and this is one y and this one is z. So here comes the question, how to start the graph. So actually we don't know how to do this. So z is equals to x plus y. Let's write like this. So here first you should do is, what you should do is, let's make one variable 0. Let's say the x is 0. If we make the x 0, what's going to be the final equation? Z is going to be equals to y. So let's imagine where in this graph, in this axis, where we are going to denote, what's the area is denoting x is equals to 0. So if it's a straight line like this, it's an, let's say this is a straight line like x going towards infinite. So actually we knew that if there is a point called 0, in that straight line all points of y axis is going to be 0. However, in this case, this x is 0 over here. So you can always, if you plot a point in this part, find the value of x. It's going to be 0 because it's perpendicular to that point. Likewise, if you plot a point over here, the x values is going to be 0. I hope now you have clearly understood that the x is 0 in that yz axis or yz plane. You can tell it like plane. If we consider this plane, in the whole plane is not only limited for this part. So in the 3D we are going to have it like this in the below part too. So in this part, which is perpendicular to this x-axis, the whole part is going to have the value of 0 for x. So that's the main point. So if we consider a point, a variable as 0, first of all you need to consider one point as 0, and after that you can find z is equals to y. So what we are going to do is, we are going to draw the graph for z is equals to y. So it's very easy. Let's consider z and y axis only, because we have already considered substituted 0 for x. So if we draw a line, that is equals to y, which means it's a linear equation which is going towards the origin of that graph. So it's going to be like this. It's going to have in the minus part 2. So we can always draw it like dotted lines in the negative sides of that. So now we have drawn like this. So let's mark it like that is equals to y. Likewise, what we are going to do next is we are going to make y is equals to 0. And if we substitute the next part, we are going to have z is equals to x, which means here we are going to consider only this zx part. So when you are considering about this zx plane, so the y is equal to 0. So now we are going to consider this zx plane in this plane. So what's the equation we are having is z is equals to x. So it would be a little bit difficult to see in this plane, to draw in this plane, but I hope I can give it a try. So I mark it in another color. So it's going to be like this. So it's towards you in this path like this. Hope you can clearly see this like this. It's actually in the exact plane because we already marked the point y variable as 0. So now we have figured it out what's the value of z, x and y. Also it's going to be in the opposite direction too. So if you like, you can mark it in the negative side of that. It's going to be like this. So let's mark it like this. It's going to be z is equals to x. It's not enough. We need to plot another type where z is equals to 0. If we mark z is equal to 0, we are going to get x plus y is equal to 0, which means x is equals to minus y, or in other terms, y is equal to minus x. So how to draw this graph is, if you consider this xy plane, here we have taken that z is equal to 0, which means we are only having this xy plane. So since the z is equal to 0, in xy plane, in this xy plane, if you take any other points, the value of z is going to be 0. So what we are going to do next is we are going to plot the graph y is equal to minus x in this xy plane. So actually we knew that if we are having something like this, it's going to be y is equals to x. So it's a y axis and it's going to be the x axis. So if I draw like this, it's going to be y is equals to x. So let's say this is 1 and this is going to be 1. Likewise, if you put a mark 1, it's going to represent, this point is going to represent 1 comma 1, which means y is equals to x. But our question is, but our equation is y is equal to minus x, which means we are going to have a graph in another direction. So if I do this, it's going to be in this direction. I hope you can clearly imagine that. It's like this. It's going to be like. So overall, actually you can see here, it's going to be in many directions. So let's mark the x-axis over here. Y-axis, continuous y-axis in the negative side too. Or if I draw like this, it's going to be. So this is the total graph. So the graph y is equal to minus x is lying on the xy plane in the negative side, because we already knew that it's going to be y is equals to minus x. Likewise, if you consider this z is equal to y part, it's in the zy axis. Also, if you are considering about the x axis, there is a line called zx. So if you consider the surface, so here we have only three lines by taking each variable at 0. However, the thing is, actually for that we had taken 0 and drew the graph. But here that can take any values. That can take 1 and 2, 3, 4, 5, and each decimal points too. So what's the purpose of this? So actually why we are drawing these three lines is, we can tell these three lines are going to be in a surface or in this graph. It's going to satisfy this graph. Actually using uh, our geometry, we knew that, let's say it's x plus y plus z, let's say x plus by plus cz is going to be 0. It's going to have a surface. It's like a surface, and it's going to be a plane surface. So likewise, if you are considering about the z is equals to x plus y, it's also going to be a surface, but we knew that it's the surface is having these three lines, that is equals to x as well as that is equals to y, and y is equals to minus x, which means it's only one surface. This graph is going to be one surface and consisting of these three lines. So how to draw that? If you we are going to draw a plane surface, not curved one, because we are having a straight line equation x, y, z, as it's going to be a plane equation, not a curved equation, because we don't have any squared or cubic or root or something. So we are going to have a plane surface, and also it should satisfy all these three lines. So what we can do is, if you draw a surface, carefully see this, I hope. So all these three lines are in the same surface. It's going to be like this. It seems like a curved surface, but actually it's not. It's going to be like this. So if you draw this, the actual why we are joining these three lines, the main reason is we actually knew that these three equations are satisfying that plane equation. So we knew that ax plus by plus cz is a plane surface, not curved one. So we can actually join these three lines, and finally we will be able to get a surface plane, a graph for this equation. It's going to represent a plane surface.